Hello. I've cut out my bra and I wanted to just review the pieces that are cut of the Marlborough bra. So I'm making it with lace and duoplex or micro lycra, which is what I'm using here because I really prefer more stretch. So on the lace, here's the lace piece, and you're going to cut two. If you line it, you can cut two lining. And when you place the pattern piece on here, on the scallops of your lace, these are the valleys that the pattern refers to. So your pattern piece placement should be lined up right at the valleys of the lace, okay? And the arrows suggest the area of stretch, the direction of stretch, and the same for the other pieces. These arrows suggest the direction of the most stretch in which you place your pattern pieces. Also, snip notches. Just do a small snip right there because they do help you in placement, particularly with this three-part bra. And here's your frame, and you're going to cut two of these, and here's your snip notch there, and here's the band. I'm using a stretch lace with a scalloped edge. I'm also using micro lycra. You can use duoplex with less stretch, depending on how much stretch you want. But typically, this is a duoplex fabric for these three pieces: the frame, the power bar, and the lower cup. And then this is the power net. Okay, this is my regular weight power net, which is always used for the back band. And here's the bridge. It will have a lining. I'm going to put a lining on this one. Here are your notches to snip. And again, the direction of greatest stretch. And I've got my underwires, my back closures, the bottom band elastic, the underarm elastic, my elastic straps, and the underwire casing. Let's put that right there. And here's my rings and sliders. Okay, so let's get started. So my favorite needle in the whole wide world for everything is a Microtex needle. And I will test it on my fabric of whatever project I'm working to see if it's happy. For your stretch fabrics, I would suggest using a stretch needle if you don't have a Microtex needle. But regardless of what needle you're going to try, test it on your fabric first. I'm going to test it on my duoplex, and I'm also going to test it with a layer of duoplex and a layer of lace, just to make sure, because that's what I'll be stitching. I'm going to test a straight stitch, and I'm going to test a zigzag stitch. So here's the upper cup construction. I'm going to take the lining and add it to the wrong side of the lace. It's my wrong side. And if you have the clear elastic, it's not real stretch, but it gives you some stability, okay? And you don't have to have it. If you don't have it, please don't worry. If you're going to line your cup, you can just line it. But I'm going to lay the strip of elastic right there on top, okay? And then I'm going to zigzag right across this top. And what it does, it just gives some stability. And you know how that elastic works on your skin. It just allows it to, like a strapless bra, it allows it to kind of lay nicely on your skin. So I'm going to do that on both sides of the upper cup. So here's the completed upper cup with the elastic on the back. And if your thread matches nicely, you won't even see the stitch. So there's the upper cup. So now it's time for the lower cup. So I've clipped the under cup to the upper cup, starting at the notch, and we'll zigzag stitch right across. So here are the two cups with the first two pieces put together. The power bar is next, but wanted to show you, per the pattern, you want to trim this seam allowance down, because you can top stitch on the lower cup. You can do a straight stitch right across there. Now, if you prefer to do your top stitch on the lace where it's not seen, that's a good preference. But, you know, just top stitch this, trim down the seam allowance so you don't have that much bulk. Let's put the power bar on. So here's the notch on the power bar, and the notch on the power bar will line up with the side seam of the first part of the cup. So right sides together, clip that notch and go up. And then curve down, and the end of the power bar lines up with the very bottom of the lower cup. Both cups are done. You got the upper cup with lace, the lower cup, and the power bar on each side. And after attaching the power bar, I top stitched right down. I just did a straight stitch, just top stitch there, and I did my top stitching on the lace side because I would prefer not to see that stitch across the cup, but it's pretty nice. All right, let's get started on the band. So after stitching the frame to the bridge inside out, you just turn it to the right side, and you've got the frame attached to the bridge, and you've got a seamless seam. It's kind of inside, almost French, but not. Okay, and do the same thing on the other side. So what we'll do is turn the bridge, lay the frame in there. Okay. Do it again. And then stitch 1/4 inch and turn it just like you did before. So now it's time for the back band, and it was cut out of power net, either a regular weight or a heavy weight, and it was cut on the greatest direction of stretch. And here you've got a guide that says the top, because this is the back part where you're going to attach the closures, the hook and eye closures. And the band is right sides together on each side of the frame. And stitch on both sides. So you got the band put together. So you want to top stitch here on each side. And our next step is to drop the cups down in and put the underwire channel in. So let's talk about the symmetry of the cup. So you remember the notches. There's a notch on the bridge, a notch on the frame. And here's your lace scallop, and you want the edge, the top of the bridge, lined up nicely with your lace scallop. So that's why that notch is right here. That will line up with the seam of the the inside seam of the cup. And then the notch here lines up with the bottom seam of the cup, and then the top line up directly there. So what you want to do is turn the cup over and clip at your notches first. Clip your notches here, clip here, clip your notch here, and then clip here, and then fill in. So now that the cups are in, and if you look at them, if you got your notches right, you've got even placement with your cups. And if you turn it over and look at your seam, this is the seam, the cup seam, the actual cup seam will be where you're going to place the underwire casing. Okay, and that's coming up next. Now I'm not going to clip it all the way around. I'd rather hold it and stitch it as I go to make sure I'm getting accurate placement when I'm stitching it onto the seam. And you're just stitching it on the seam. You're closing the cup up and stitching it on the seam. So now both underwire channelings are in, and you see how they meet very neatly right in the middle. Okay, and we're going to insert the underwire this direction here, and then the last thing we'll do is close up this channel here. But first we're going to put the elastics on, so it's time for elastics. So here's the 3/4 inch bottom band elastic, and it does have a smooth side and an inside. So what we're going to do is place the elastic, and you have enough that you can have some handling room here. Okay, you're going to place it on the outside. Make sure the smooth side is the side that will turn and be against your skin. So you're going to line it up, and you're now, because we're stitching elastic, we're going to use the 3-step zigzag stitch. Your machine should have a regular setting for that. And you're going to stitch as close to the peacoat edge as possible so that when you turn it to the other side, that's what it looks like. Really pretty. Now when you put your elastic on, when you're attaching elastic to the bra, there's no stretching of the bra fabric or the elastic. So pin it across nice and neat. Not pin it, clip it. Clip it all the way across. There's no stretching. It's going to stretch enough when we put it on. And move the underwire casing out of the way and just attach the elastic to the bra fabric. Leave the casing alone for now, the underwire casing. And then attach it all the way across. So I'm using the 3-step zigzag stitch to put the elastic on the bottom band. And stitch all the way across. No need to stretch or pull the elastic or the fabric. Just lay it down and stitch as close to the peacoat edge as possible. So when you turn it, it looks really pretty. And this is the soft side that will, when I turn it, it'll be next to my body. Just always think that way, you know. How do I want it to feel on the inside? And remember, move the underwire casing out of the way. You're not stitching on top of that. Now that the hook and eyes are on for the back, it's time to put the underwires. And they go through the middle. Just want to slide them in. Push it all the way to the side until it stops. Because remember, this side is closed in. There you go. And then what you want to do is stitch right across here and attach your bow.